I'll start my speech in three, two, and one. Opposition believes that this debate solely answers the question is that which side will actually contribute much more to the education system and bring a fresh new perspective to students. Because notice the fact that the proposition bench has been again and again talking about empowerment. And later on, we'll talk about how this is not empowerment, but it actually has a detrimental effect to students. But first of all, by a fresh new perspective, our side, we're developing and we are building a more resilient education program. We focus on students' critical thinking skills and their well-being as a whole. And secondly, we believe the education system should be neutral and have a suitable curriculum to students, and they should teach students to think, not fearing the past. So, coming to our speech today, I would like to divide my speech into a couple of clashes. First of all, the number one clash is the necessity of doing so. Is it really necessary to actually, let's read the motion again, to graphically and exclusively focus on the negative impact of colonialism? So, this means that the school curriculum, let's say that the history curriculum, will excessively focus on the negative impact that the colonialism has harmed a specific state, and we believe that it's not really necessary. Why do we say this? So first of all, on the closing government, they say to us that it's necessary because it's necessary. Their arguments around the fact that it's like allow thoroughly examination. But the fault of closing government is that they fail to say how thoroughly examination will actually benefit students at school and the education system as a whole. Because students, they learn history, and their view when learning history is that they want to learn as much as possible. Do you think that when they hear a lot of shocking statistics or like abusive or labor, and they will actually say that, like I should protect my country, etc., because like government has not really has not really provide a solid case on how students will react to those curriculum. Instead, we believe that student may fear this a little bit, but the feeling of fear will soon pass away. So we believe that the necessity it's not really necessary to graphically and exclusively do this because yes, while it is important to address historical biases, we argue that a comprehensive understanding of history must include more than just the negative impacts of colonialism because history is interconnected and focusing solely on one aspect risks oversimplification. And later, we introduced the idea that colonialism, though deeply flawed, was part of a broader global historical process, and teaching this complexity helps students understand the interrelatedness of global events and prepares them to think critically about modern geopolitical issues. And we believe that the education should provide a nuanced view of history, not one that swings from one extreme to another. I'll take that. I'll take it. Any POI from any team. We believe that we have never mentioned the fact about balance. We believe like our case surrounds the fact that we want to prioritize educational resilience and we want students to think about the interconnected story because we believe that instead of emphasizing on the negative impact of like colonialism, we should teach them like what has the country done to overpower the colonialism in the first place. We believe this is like a better solution that will help actually empower students to think that their country is capable of doing so. Because what we have seen so far from this debate is that if we like graphically and exclusively focus on the negative impacts of colonialism, what it will do is that it will traumatize students instead of empowering them because we believe that the point of balanced education is made by OO in the first place, and we will address their case later on. So the second clash we believe here is the education system and why it's important to address them. Because while educating students about colonialism, negative impact is important, the purpose of education is broader than that. And we argue that education should prioritize resilience and empowerment as made very clearly by our member speech on the negative like education risks fostering a victim mentality rather than actually equip students with the tools they need to overcome historical injustices and build a brighter future. Because the point of colonialism here, like we believe that just because we don't focus on it doesn't mean that we will not introduce it to students. We will still do, but what we will do is that we will equip students with a more critical and a broader view of how students should view this and like what their country is capable of doing. So this view is much better than actually just focus on the graphically and exclusively and excessively focus on it. So the CG has said that like it will empower citizens and it will create a more nuanced and accurate understanding, which we believe is totally wrong. And also like OG has also mentioned the fact that it will benefit like if we inform students because we like they want students to be socially aware. So our final clash again is about students' well-being, and I will explain how this is totally wrong. Because we extend the debate by arguing that an exclusively negative and graphic focus on colonialism can have harmful psychological effects on students. Because let's say that constant exposure to graphic content could actually traumatize them and lead to feelings of like leads to the feeling that their country is like pretty bad and like it will detrimentally affect how they view this entire scene as a whole. Because we believe that traumatizing is different from empowering. Let's just say that you see a picture of World War II and there are children dying. So what will you think of it? You will be traumatized by this instead of actually you will have a feeling that, and especially the student in the first place. So again, we believe that students, their thinking is still small and they will not have enough knowledge to actually think that they should empower and they should step up. So, by balancing negative content with narrative of resilience and recovery and empowerment, education can actually promote the psychological well-being of students, and it will actually encourage them to become constructive agent of change rather than passive carriers of historical trauma. And this, like, it will be a better empowerment rather than just focus extensively on negative impact of colonialism, because education again should be broader, not just focus on one simple thing that is in the past. Proud to oppose.